Welcome to the Book Talk Babes podcast, where we will be discussing different book-related topics and occasionally specific books. This episode may contain spoilers, so please check the episode description for a list of books that were spoiled. My name is Ashley, and today I'm joined by my two lovely friends, Elaine.
Hello.
And Liana.
Hi.
Alrighty.
I got worried because I thought I was going to sneeze. Right as you
I know, I saw you like hold your finger up, and I was like, oh shit, I already started
I
eating.
know. I was like, oh no.
You can sneeze now.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, uh-oh, something's happening.
I know.
I know. I was like, oh crap. I saw it out of the corner of my eye because I'm like looking up at my little notes on top of the screen here. Okay. Thank you, returning listeners. Welcome, new ones. Today's episode is going to be
A doozy.
Yeah, it's going to be a doozy. It's gonna be TikTok, book talk, whatever, hyped books, the publishing industry. We're going to talk specifically about men that have gotten on Book Talk and like are new to it, and like the books that are getting recommended to them. That's not necessarily okay. But
When you said we're going to talk about men, my first reaction was, ugh.
no, we're gonna.
But then you kept talking. We're good.
Which part of this conversation would y'all like to start with?
Oh gosh, it's so hard to choose.
I know, and like I have a whole bunch of notes here. I did some homework, y'all.
Is there like a list of from like least to most heavy? Or you know what? Just throw something out.
So like one of my first notes I have on here is kind of about, I feel like it falls under these topics generally, the aesthetic reels and TikToks people make for books, where it's like the pictures that they get that are supposed to kind of fit the theme of the book, and then they put up quotes that they thought were good from the book.
Yeah.
I have fallen prey to these too many times.
Oh, you know what? I will say, show the book title.
Yes.
Yes.
Show me the book title. I don't want to look at any pages. I don't want anything about the aesthetic, but then we never find out what the title is. And people are like, well, it's in the tags. You have to blah. Like, no. If it was in the tags, I would have seen it.
I shouldn't have to read through all the hashtags to figure out what book this is. Put it in the caption. If you're not going to actually put it in the reel, it should be the first thing that is written.
Yeah.
In the caption.
Yeah, I don't want you holding up the pages for 30 seconds. You should tell me within the first 5 seconds what book this is. Yeah. I don't have time. I'm going to skip through it. I'm not even going to go to the end and give you the view. I'm going to skip through it. You've ruined it. You've lost a view because...
You know what, though? Depending on what platform it's on, it'll still count as a view. So like TikTok, because I think because I have ours set up the way I do, I can look at the analytics of it, and we get something that's considered a view if it's like I think 30 seconds.
Let's see, if I don't know within the first 10, we're
okay
done.
Okay
We're done.
Yeah.
I guess I'll never know about that best-selling book that you want to recommend to everyone that probably has all the tropes that I love in it, because you had to be someone who's dramatic and you had to like do it for the whatever, but I'm not into it. Anyway, continue. That was like my angry rant.
No. I completely agree with that.
Yes.
My biggest thing is like there have been books that I have read, and then I'll see those aesthetic reels and not realize it's that book yet. And then so I'll look at it and I was like, ooh, that's a good line. Ooh, that's a good line. Ooh, that's a good quote. And then like the title comes up and I was like, oh, those were literally the best parts of those books because I didn't like it as a whole. So I'm like, I'm not falling for this anymore.
I've noticed, especially with romantasy or even just fantasy books, I know that Sarah J, she intentionally writes a diverse group of characters, but then the aesthetic will just be like white people. It'll just contain white people, and it'll be like a tan white person or a white person with dark hair. And even if the character is like explicitly like a certain like ethnicity, or it's just like, you know, that I've noticed sometimes they're whitewashed.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. I can see that.
Like only white people can exist in fantasy. I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Also,
that's not true at
it's
all.
fantasy. They can be like whatever color they want.
Yeah.
But like I've heard this argued for like fantasy books that are based in like medieval time periods. Like they has to be like true to the time period of like medieval England, and there weren't like people of color running around. Like I don't think that's true.
Yeah. No. Also, it's a fantasy. It's a fiction.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
be whatever the fuck the writer wants.
Yeah.
Well, and then I've also seen some discourse about this. It's like authors are stealing POC's histories of oppression and putting it to their white characters.
Mm.
And it's like, well, it would still make sense to be like, you know, there's a war, there's enslavement, there's genocide, there's prejudice, there's racism. I know that with monster romances, that can be done pretty well, but like, and I've seen this from like POC creators when it's like white against white or implied white against implied white. It's just like, so you're just stealing our narratives to like make a story, and it's like, it's okay. Like, you can put like people of color in this.
You
Mhm.
should read Yellowface by
Mm.
R.F. Kuang.
Okay.
This is a good segue into like what kind of initially started our discussion on this topic about like TikTok or
Mhm.
just social media in general and the internet and its influence on the publishing industry. I feel there has been multiple books that have come out that are just shitty quality, from the paper and the printing quality of it to like grammatical errors or misspellings, inconsistencies in the stories, just because publishers are like, we gotta pump these out as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
I think me as an audience member has been duped a couple of times because a book was so hyped on social media. The main one that I can think of is the Spanish love deception.
Mm.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And then with the love hypothesis, just because the Spanish love deception, it's a weird concept. It's like a fake dating, which I'm not a fan of, but it can be it can be done well. It's just this one, it was so bad. It was just so bad. I guess it's supposed to be like a he falls first kind of thing, but it's like a enemies to lovers, workplace romance. But then he ends up being like this perfect guy. But I honestly found him creepy.
Was that the love hypothesis?
No,
Spanish love.
Spanish.
The Spanish
Yeah,
love deception. Okay.
yeah. And I honestly thought he was kind of creepy just because the way he like always observed her at work, and so he got to know her likes and her dislikes, even though she made a point to not talk to him at work because of like their first meeting didn't go that great, and ever since then she's had a grudge against him. But he's been in love with her from the beginning. And the sex scenes in particular kind of gave me ick.
Ugh.
You know how we are. Like, we can like soft dom stuff, we can like full on dom stuff, but it really came out of nowhere. And the dirty talk was just kind of, and then he became her boss in the book, but somehow it was still okay for them to date. I don't know. It creeped me out. It gave me ick. And then the love hypothesis, as you know, I just had a problem with the main woman just because she didn't feel very well written, and just some choices that she made were really annoying, especially miscommunication stuff. And there's
Okay.
like one point where like the guy, when they like finally do hook up, the guy like takes her name is Olive and he calls her like edible. Yeah.
I
And then
I will say
he
that
takes
during their love scene, there was a part of me that felt a bit off with like some of his dialogue in it.
yeah.
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 Like I do get that. Yeah.
He puts her whole boob in his mouth, and that's supposed to be like a ooh thing, but I'm just like, in my mind I'm like, that would be so strange to me. And then you call me edible. Like, ugh. Oh, and then she keeps on some like rainbow unicorn socks while they have at it.
Interesting.
Which I mean, not to like,
I don't remember that.
not no, it stood out to me because I was like, why are they making it? It felt like the writing was really making her young. And in the book, he's a few years older than her. I think he has like,
Yeah.
is he a professor or something? And she's a lab assistant, but he's not
Yeah,
her
I think so.
professor. She's a PhD student, and he's a professor, but they're working in the same lab, and so he's a few years older. Every interaction they had, it just seemed to like find some way to make her like baby. Like they would meet for coffee, and she would drink like a caramel mocha sprinkled frap with a bunch of like, where half of it is like whipped cream, and he just has a black coffee, and I'm just
Like
like,
she's out there getting the special Starbucks unicorn frappuccino thing, and she's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
he's having that coffee.
and everything was just so cutesy, and I don't know, it's just a lot of the way that she was described made her seem very young, and not in a, I don't know if you can do it in a good way, but it felt like she was being infantilized a bit. But if you want to leave on your rainbow unicorn socks during sex, have at it. Like, I know there is like, I know there is play like that where there is like a an authority figure and then like a not authority figure.
Yeah.
But it just,
Yeah.
ugh, I don't know. It gave me ick. So yeah, those two books gave me ick. But of course, Book Talk was like, these are the best books ever. Oh my god! And you go to like Goodreads and they have 50,000 good reviews, and I did not like them at all.
Elaine, you have anything you want to add to that?
No. I mean, I did love the love hypothesis, and I totally get what you're saying. But like, I think there was like a video I like shared where it's just like I go both based off vibes, you know, and I
Yeah.
think the overall vibe I liked, and so that's why I was like, oh, I really like this. But
No,
Mhm.
yeah.
but I think I also read it when I was like still tipping my toe in romances. So like a part
Okay.
of me wonders if like I were to reread it, if I would still like it.
I mean, you've crossed over to the monster side.
That's
so.
true.
I don't want to get to the Haunting Adeline stuff too soon. So I'm gonna save some of this.
Elaine has grown.
Gross.
Well, it's like, what also sparked this was that article you sent, Liana, about, or the TikTok that you sent about
Yeah.
someone reading an article about TikTok turning the publishing industry into fast fashion. And it kind of centers a lot around Rebecca Yarros and Fourth Wing and her initial like interviews that she had when that like first came out, and people are like, oh, how do you pronounce these characters' names and stuff? And Elaine, you really pulled through with the homework on this one, sending all those TikToks of people talking about how she was calling it Gaelic, but it's actually Scottish Gaelic. Two different languages. One is like Irish Gaelic and the other one's Scottish Gaelic. They're spelt the same. I can see why she made the mistake of calling it Gaelic, but that particular person on TikTok goes through and is like, she pronounces it this way, but it's actually pronounced this, which means this. And I feel like if I was an author and I was writing a book and I was going to use words from another language, I myself would learn the proper way to pronounce them before I go on tour for anything, because people are going to ask.
Yeah.
Because those words are hard to say. And I want to be somewhat right on how I say them, just so I don't look like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know? I know that particular TikToker like talks about how for her it's, disrespectful for American authors to like be using certain languages to name their characters or their locations and things like that, and not like learning the proper way to say them. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know she has since apologized, and she has made comments about how she's gotten a tutor, so she going forward can pronounce everything
Properly.
the correct
yeah.
way. So that good on her for doing that. That conversation kind of sparked this conversation.
Alternatively, all I could think of was like Crescent City and how everyone has like a regular name, but it's spelled so weird.
Yes, yes.
Like Ethan is spelled with an I.
It's weird for me as like an audiobook listener primarily, because when I listen to some of these books, I end up having to Google how is this name spelled if I don't have the physical book in front of me when I'm talking with other people about it, because I was spelling his name Ethan like with an E until I looked it
Yeah.
up and I was like, oh shit, it's with an I. Oops.
But then even with Akatar, people couldn't figure out how to say like Feyre. And they're like,
Yeah.
is it fairy? Is it Feyre? Like,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah.
And then with Reese, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it rice or is it Reese? And
It's resand.
but then you have like Hypaxia.
Yeah.
And you have like Fury and all these other names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I recognize these names, but then I don't. And then it's English too, but it's like names she's made up.
Yeah, I mean, she's put her own twist on them, which I mean, I appreciate. I think that more. Like, at least she's making up shit she can say.
Yeah, just make up names, and you can be like, "What do you mean you don't say it like this?"
Yeah, exactly. If you make it up, no one can question how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Although the big one, the big name that had everyone struggling was our friend Miss Granger.
Oh yeah.
Before I knew her name, I was just like, that thing you do in your head was like,
Oh,
Yeah.
so before the movies came out, we were calling her I think we were saying Hermy one or something, like Hermy one or something like that. I was like, yeah, that one, cuz like she doesn't I mean, other than the movies, the first time you actually get like an actual pronunciation thing is not until like the fourth book when she's talking to Victor Crumb, and she's like trying to tell him how to say it.
Even in the movies, not one person says her name the same way.
Did they not?
There's like Hermione or Hermione, or like maybe it's all their different
accents. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the first name I remember reading that tripped me up because I had never heard that name before.
I can see that.
Also, I didn't know what spectacles were. I just knew them as glasses. I'm like, what are spectacles?
And that was before the internet was easily available for us to look things up, children that listen to this. If you grew up with the internet your entire life, you have no idea the struggle.
I know through the Akatar, it always bothered me that Elaine wasn't spelled with an E at the end.
Yeah.
But
you took that personally.
Yeah. It's like, it's Elaine.
Which you totally can. That is your name.
How did y'all guys say Nagini's name? I feel like that was like the main one where I was like,
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but I guarantee it was probably something similar. I'm like,
I always thought Sirius was said as like Cyrus.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Cyrus.
Yeah, I think I was saying like Cyrus or something.
Yeah, and then, oh, my little brain. I guess on that same vein, like, I appreciate when authors attempt to include diversity among their characters. Like, if you want to have interracial couples, especially, it's just make sure you do your research and have a consultant on hand.
Yeah.
Just so you can like be like, am I being sensitive to this, or am I like doing like this whitewashing thing? Am I appropriating?
Like, if you have a big publisher, they can get that,
Yeah.
And
there is a very popular author. His name is Jay Kristoff.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Apparently, he had some controversy because in one of his book, he did misrepresentation of Asian culture, even though
I heard about
he
that. Yeah.
supposedly heavily researched it. But people of the culture like reread it and like actually wrote videos of like everything he did wrong. He also used Jewish god's name for a character and like turned one of their religious rituals into something demonic.
Oh Jesus.
And like like that is like it's not good. It's like, why did someone not
Yeah.
like read that and tell him like, yo, no.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I know with the Asian culture thing, I've heard that like people have even gone and asked him and he just like ignores them, he blocks them. Even
Mm.
like his like publicist or something did the same
Yeah.
thing. Like they just completely ignore them and it's not even like try to settle. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Also, I just want to say, just because you have proximity does not make you the person to write that narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people be like, well, my husband's black or my best friend is Latina. And it's like, okay, but you're still not that person.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not, you're still an outsider. Like,
Yeah.
I think, write about whatever you want, but I do think you should probably get like the appropriate people to double check it and make
Yeah.
sure you're doing it in a good way. Now, if you're an indie author, that's kind of a different story just because you do not have the same kind of resources
Mm-hmm.
that big publisher, is going to be able to provide. But there are people I feel like you can find on the internet that would be willing
yeah.
to maybe help out
Yeah.
for free or, things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
Or just, soundboard. Be like, hey, friends, does this sound a little
yeah, yeah.
insensitive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how does this come across to someone that is, familiar with that on a personal level? But that's like I was telling Elaine before we press record. I feel like there are some authors that will write things or put things in their book just to please fans.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Pierce Brown is an author I think that, I listened to some interviews that he's done, and like his latest book that came out, Lightbringer, it was originally supposed to be the last book in the series, but then he was like, I'm going to have to split this up into 2 books. He was writing Lightbringer, and then he literally scrapped, I think, almost half of it or something, because after he finished writing what he had written, he decided that one of the characters' POVs that he was writing from wasn't necessarily like how he wanted to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And he realized he was just kind of doing it to please fans because it's a very popular character in the book series. So he got rid of all of his chapters and had to like rewrite stuff to make the story like work because he got rid of all of that character's POV chapters. And I was like, that's good. I'm glad he was able to recognize like, hey, I think I'm just doing this because fans want it and not because like it'll actually make the story better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although I hated how long we had to wait for that freaking book. And it literally broke my heart into a bajillion pieces. I'm glad that he didn't just publish something to make all of us happy.
Yeah.
That book hurt, y'all. Steven came home and I was like crying at the kitchen table and I like looked over at the back doors.
No.
He's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, it's the
You mean he wasn't like, who hurt you? Who
No,
did,
no,
who
I
did this
think
to you?
I think he was about ready to walk out the back door, like disappear into the bushes like Homer Simpson. Like, oh shit, what did I just walk in on?
I know. Who did this to you?
He's like, what happened? I was like, Pierce Brown. He's like, okay. He came over and he like kind of hugged me. He's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll be okay. But yeah, there's also the special editions and having multiple copies and different versions of stuff. And I know I have multiple copies. I do try to make sure there is some sort of significant difference now. SJM's House of Flame and Shadow is a good example of this. There are 5 bonus chapters for this book, and each one is exclusive to a different bookseller.
Oh.
So there's a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. There's Books A Million, Indie Books, Target, Walmart. They all have like their own exclusive edition, which is each one is a different bonus chapter. I'm sorry, what? I'm not going to buy all of those.
Yeah.
I did hear something informative from somebody that actually has like a master's degree in marketing. And when this first came out, she did talk about how publishers will do this with these big books or whatever because it gets people to buy from the actual booksellers as opposed to like Amazon
Yeah.
and things like that. But 5, like that's so excessive. Those 5 chapters are going to be on the internet somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be everywhere.
Don't feel bad about that at all. She doesn't need the money, okay? She's going to get plenty of it.
Well, and then what about those people who don't have access to either financially or regionally
Yeah.
to get all these different versions?
Yeah.
There's that too. There's that too.
Mm-hmm. We're also talking about how I don't like that some exclusives I feel like they're the same cover as the original, just with like a filter to make it a different color palette, and that's it. Like that's the only difference.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what, like why? And sometimes it's like I don't like the way like that color palette works compared to like the original.
I like getting different covers of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because each country or each edition does it a bit differently. And even if the art is the same, the style would be different.
Yeah.
And also, it's just fun to have Harry Potter in other languages. Like, I have it in Italian. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still have the Arabic version on my shelf for you, Ashley.
Yeah, I'm coming for that one as
Ooh.
well. I'm not kidding.
Ooh.
I cried in Ireland when we found the Irish Gaelic version
Oh, yeah.
in a bookstore.
have it,
I was
right?
like, oh my God, we're getting it. Steven's just like, do I need to walk up there by myself? I'm like, give me a minute. I'll pull it together, damn it.
like when you cried when you went to Wizarding World.
He would not. He was like, he goes, I love you, but I don't have to walk in front of you and record you, do I? And I'm like, I guess not. He's like, I'll just record myself. So I freaking like Blair Witch Project that bitch and had like the phone like in my face while I'm crying and snot's running out of my nose.
I think my sister reacted the same way.
Yeah. I feel so bad. My poor husband, he is just like, he doesn't know how to handle me in certain situations, and he hates like attention being on him. So if I do anything that's like recording me in public or whatever, he's like, what are you doing? Stop it. People are looking at us.
Like, help, what do I do? I'm scared.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do when you record in public. Like, it's okay.
Like, just stand there and be
But
husband.
Yeah. I cried like a little baby walking in for the first time. Well, actually, the funny story about that is I actually cried before we got to it because the way the park is set up is like everything's just out in the open in like a big ass loop. So we're walking and I started hearing Harry Potter like theme music.
Yes.
And then I saw like the night bus and then I saw the station. I'm like, oh God, we're coming in it from the back. We're not coming through Diagon Alley. Like, I'm not walking through the fake brick wall. Like, we're doing this wrong. And I started crying and we stopped at a bench so I could pull out the map. And I'm looking at the map and I'm like, this isn't making sense to me. Like, it says it's right here. Sure as shit, like, you pass by the station and there's like a brick wall. And, you know, the way they have it set up is like you walk through the middle of it and then there's like a wall. You have to go around so it looks like you're going through the wall or whatever. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, false alarm. We're good. So I like composed myself, put my shit back together, and then we start walking to the wall. Then I start crying again. My poor husband, like I said, he's just like, I'm gonna stand over here while you do this. He's like, I'm
It's
gonna
like,
walk
I'm gonna
ahead
let
of
you
you.
have this moment.
Oh, y'all. I embarrassed the fuck out of him so much that whole first day. So like, yeah, started crying before we even got into there. Started crying walking through the wall, looking around. We accidentally got in line for the like wand choosing ceremony, like presentation demonstration thing that they do. Instead of like, we thought we were getting in line to go into the wand shop, and that was not the case. So they were like, oh, this is the line for like seeing like Ollivanders do the wand thing. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's wait. So we wait and whatever. They wait till like a group forms. They take us back like down this like hallway into the back for the presentation. I'm like by the exit door where there was like because it's kind of dark in there. There's someone working, whoever worked there, standing there. And I am a grown 30-something-year-old woman bawling my eyes out the whole time during the presentation for like the wand ceremony. And like the guy that plays Ollivander, he picks someone in the crowd to like, be Harry Potter getting his wand. And my heart stopped for a minute because I was like, he has to pick me. The employee over here has given him a signal and it's going to be like, you have to pick this chick. It means a lot to her. No, he picked some fucking little bitch. It was like 12 or 13. I was like, she doesn't even know, okay? She didn't grow up with this. She's still a child.
Yeah,
You have no idea what
calling
this
a
meant to
child a
me.
bitch.
Steven looked over at me like, don't hurt her. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking hurt her. Okay? I'm gonna hurt this employee over here that didn't tell Ollivander. You need to pick this woman over here crying.
Okay.
Which obviously,
like, I did my waiting.
yeah, right,
Right.
I have no idea how much this meant to me. But of course, I'm, afterwards, I was like, that employee was probably like, don't pick this one. She's not going to be able to handle it. She's not going to. She's not going to be able to hold herself together. She's already crying.
Yeah.
Like let's
My
move
sister got
this along.
picked.
I know, and
My
that's why I
sister
was
got
really
picked.
hopeful that I would get picked. And I was like, damn it, I shouldn't have been in the dark corner crying. I should have pushed my way to the middle.
Me.
I'd be like, me, pick me. I'm the one you want. But yeah. So that was fun. And like I said, poor Steven just like, you okay? Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just crying the whole time. So I'll probably cry if I go back. For that first initial walkthrough again.
Well, I mean, they've got more stuff now, so you have to go back.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Haunting Adeline.
To the nitty gritty. Yes. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the reason we're going to talk about Haunting Adeline a little bit here is because Elaine found some TikTok drama about people recommending this book to new to romance readers, particularly men who are new to reading romance. And very, very specifically, there has been an instance where people were recommending it to a 16-year-old boy on TikTok.
No.
Yeah.
So it is not okay. This boy, and I'm going to say boy because he is a child. He is 16, okay? He, I guess, is on whatever, Bike Talk. So he does like videos of him on motorcycles and stuff, which I would like to say for the record, because of this instance, I went back and looked at that guy's TikTok that I was talking about in episode 1 with the biker praise kink thing. And it doesn't say his age, but it said like 1990 or 90 or something is in his name. So I'm assuming he is my age.
Please, Lord, do not make me lust after a child.
I mean, yes. I didn't say anything inappropriate to him, so directly. But I'm just like, okay. But yeah, so I guess this kid posts like videos of him like riding his motorcycle and all this kind of stuff. it started with people commenting on his stuff, saying like, wait till book talk gets a hold of you and things like that.
Ugh.
He then, and again, this is, I don't know if these people just didn't check his profile, because I'm assuming most people just don't go look at their profiles and read the bio thing. But he then posted a video after people are talking about book talk to him about books that he enjoys, that he likes. And the books that he shows in this video are like The Hunger Games and The Maze Runner. So that should have tipped some
Yeah.
people off, but it didn't. People were in the comments writing inappropriate sexual things to him. They were in the comments telling him to read Haunting Adeline. One of the videos specifically talking about this was quoting people's comments saying, like, read this book. This is what women really want. Or, like, this will make you a real man or something. I'm like, hold the fuck up. Then he posted a video about, like, being 16. He even has in his bio that he's 16. And people were still writing inappropriate things to him in his comments.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So I listened to Haunting Adeline. I got it. Well, it was on sale on Audible for one of their deals or whatever. Neither one of you, well, I know you haven't read it, Liana. Elaine, you haven't read it yet either, right?
No.
I was gonna say, feel free to spoil whatever because I will never read it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask if did you look anything up about it?
I did,
Okay.
but even I had to stop because it was making me so upset.
Yeah. I do not at all recommend this book to you specifically. You will hate it. I liked it. It's not like a 5-star read for me, but I enjoyed it to some extent. There are parts of it that I did really like, and then there are parts of it I didn't like at all.
Well, before we go any further, should we explain the premise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get
Got
into
it,
that.
got it.
So, so Haunting Adeline is a dark romance it's a dark stalker romance. The premise of the book is Adeline Riley is an author, and her grandma has passed away and has left their big, creepy mansion. I say creepy. It's like very gothic-y kind of. It's like all black and whatnot on the outside and has kind of like a gothic kind of vibe on the inside and whatever. But her grandma has left her their old house, and she decides she's going to live there, and she moves in. And then she finds a rose like in her kitchen. Someone has left a rose. Oh, that's right. There's a empty cup next to like her grandpa's whiskey bottle on like the kitchen island, and a rose has been left. And she's like, what the fuck is going on here? How did someone get into my house and like leave this behind? And so different things happen, and she realized like she has a stalker, and he starts contacting her and whatever. And it's multiple POV, so you get his point of view and then you get her point of view. For him, it is love at first sight. He runs a organization called Z. He's like a computer hacker, but he's also straight up legit psycho. Like, he kills people and whatever. Don't get me wrong. The stuff that he does with his hacking business is stopping people that do human trafficking. So he does save a lot of people's lives, and he's very passionate about it. I love that. But like, yeah, he is a straight up psycho. So he's like walking down the street, and he walks by this bookshop, and he sees a picture that there's like an event or whatever, like author signing event thing. He sees a picture of the woman. He's like, oh, okay. He keeps walking, and he looks inside the bookstore, and like he sees her. And he is just immediately drawn to her. He goes in the bookstore. He just stares at her and watches her the whole time. He's immediately obsessed, and he decides from that point on, Adeline Riley is going to end up being the love of his life. They're going to get married and have babies. He's decided that in that very moment. He's going to make her his no matter what. So there's a lot of heavy content. There's the human trafficking stuff. There's a lot of like killing, torture. For the majority of the book, I would say a lot of their actual sexual interactions are kind of like a consensual, non-consensual situation.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a Stabler and Benson. Like, this is not okay.
Oh, honey. I was going to go into detail in their first actual sexual encounter with each other.
Okay.
So that's another thing. She also makes it very clear that like she likes being scared. She likes getting scared, watching scary movies, going to like haunted houses and stuff. Like it gets her hot and bothered, if I remember correctly. I think he's texting her and he says something and she trying to get him all riled up, whatever. And he's just like, I'm going to punish you for that. And she's just like, okay, sure you will, whatever. And I'm like, this man has stalked you. At this point, he has stalked you. He has also literally killed someone, killed them in your fucking front yard, and then sent you his hands in a box
Oh my god.
because Z took him, tortured him, and cut his hands off, and then killed his whole family because they're like crime people, drug dealers. Yeah. So there was that. And then their first. Would y'all like to make any comments so far? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking right now.
Just noises of pain.
So their first actual like sexual encounter with each other, like I said, they're texting. She kind of instigates him. So he gets into her house. She tries to run from him. So he has her down on the ground, and of course, you know, her getting scared gets her all hot and bothered, so she is ready to go. And he like rips her leggings off. Well, he takes out his gun, and I had the same problem with Den of Vipers that I had with this scene. I grew up around guns, okay? I'm very familiar with weapons. Me and my sister both know how to take a handgun apart and put it back together blindfold, okay? He uses this gun like in her. He starts to stick it in her, and I'm like, okay, if he does just the tip, maybe. But he doesn't. He like sticks the whole fucking barrel of this handgun into her vagina. And I'm like, okay, first off, like I get it. It's supposed to be like dangerous and scary and whatnot. That is no. Are you freaking kidding me? I would have, like, the next time I saw that man, I would have freaking stabbed him in the jugular. Like, you do not point a gun at me. You definitely aren't putting it in my vagina, okay? I have multiple problems with this, okay?
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know about guns, they're fucking hard metal. First off, that's not gonna feel good.
Yeah.
Second, there is a sight on the end of the barrel of a gun, which sticks out, which means there's a piece of metal that's sticking out. That's gonna hurt you. That could cause some actual internal damage. Okay? I don't care how wet you are. That's gonna cause some problems. And then you gotta think about it from a gun owner's point of view. Cleaning that is gonna be absolutely horrible.
No.
Throw that gun out, okay?
I mean,
That gun's ruined.
first rule of gun safety: don't point it at people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, he's a bad guy. And part of his whole story is like he had loving parents, and like there's really no excuse for him to be the way that he is, other than he just doesn't want these sick, bad people to get away with like the human trafficking stuff that they're doing and whatnot. And there's a whole like subplot of this secret society that does these sacrificial rituals with like children, and he's trying to infiltrate them so he can take them down. And it is wild, y'all. And don't get me wrong, I loved Den of Vipers. Den of Vipers, I would say, was my very first like dark romance, reverse harem or wide shoes kind of situation. And there were parts of it that were similar to this where I was like, ooh, no, that kind of took me out of it. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Ugh.
And there's also like a gun vagina thing in that one too. And I was just like, no. Ow. Ow, ow,
Yeah.
ow, ow, ow.
That was like the one thing I didn't like too about Den of Vipers. Ugh.
But there was a line at the end of the book that I found very interesting where Z is talking to one of his like associates / friends and says something, and his friend's like, oh, I like my women willing, because like they all know that he's been stalking her. Z says something along the lines of, oh, you just don't know when a woman's body is saying yes, even if her mind's telling her no, or some shit like that. And I was like, no.
No.
That is a consensual no. What? Mm-mm.
No.
I will say, again, I did like the book overall. But it's got some, so like, I mean, she ends up admitting that she likes him. Maybe she loves him. They end up forming a relationship. He's the I will burn the fucking world for you. I don't give a shit. You are the queen and I will bow down to you. I think is something similar to one of the lines that like he says. So like she does end up having kind of like a not necessarily Stockholm syndrome kind of thing because he hasn't kidnapped her, but she does end up falling in love with her stalker. So, and again, he's very much, I will burn the fucking world for you. I will gouge out any man's eyeballs that even looks at you the wrong way.
That sounds like an overreaction.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? He could chop that guy's hands off.
Like, in real life, that would be such a red flag. Like, I don't want you fighting with every
Yeah.
man who glances my way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not cute.
Yeah.
So it definitely has some problematic stuff. There's a lot of like consensual, non-consensual things. There were a couple of positions that I was like about to try to find some sort of stuffed animals or maybe Lego dolls I could try to use since we have a lot of Lego figures, because I was just like, I don't think that would fit that way. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe also because like I'm a curvier, voluptuous individual. If some man tried to like get me on my hands and knees and then pick me up from behind, like by my hips, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, a lot of those scenes involve thin, flexible women.
I guess so. Some of the things I was just like there's one point. There's multiple points where like he has her like get down on her knees, and I was just like, oh wow. Can I have a pillow? Like I can't. You can't just expect me to get down on some hard cement. It's not gonna work.
Oh no. No.
It's not gonna happen. I'm
like,
sorry.
you know, I'm down for some experiments. We gotta think of my joints.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta think long term about how this is gonna hurt our bodies.
I mean, I'm not 20 years old anymore. Like, I also gotta warm up now.
The cartilage in my knees is not good anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, before we get to it, let me do some mobility work.
Well, like, okay, so there's a scene before they are going to like this party, and she's all dressed up. She's got her makeup done and her hair and all this kind of stuff, and she, I don't know, she sasses him or something, and he's like, get down on your knees, and they're like outside of her house, and so she's like pulling up her nice dress, getting on her knees, and we'll just say she ends up like she's crying, and it was a rough experience, okay? But she just gets up, wipes off her tears, but like somehow her hair is still perfect. None of her makeup has smudged. Apparently she's got some magical like lip shit that she put on that like can't budge from anything.
It's probably that Fenty.
Maybe. So I'm just like, I would need to like go back inside and shower and try this all over again. I would have to redo my full face of makeup. Like what?
It sounds like I would fight this man.
She tries for most of the times.
But I would not become a willing participant.
Yeah, he's also like a gigantic, like strong muscle man, whatever. What's very interesting is that even while he's still kind of like forcing her to do stuff with him, which ends up kind of just like being like their thing, like she likes it. He's also trying to teach her like how to defend herself, how to get out of someone's trying to like chokehold you and stuff. And so he actually does teach her some self-defense things. Overall, this is not a book I would recommend to anyone that wants to get into the dark romance genre.
Yeah.
No. It's pretty, I mean, I'm not a dark romance expert. I think I've read 3 if you include this one. I'm just like getting my toes wet with this. I shouldn't have said that. Ugh. But yeah, so no one should be recommending this to a 16-year-old boy, telling them this is what women want. No,
Yeah,
not
no.
all women want this.
No.
I am of the belief that I want everyone to, at some point in their life, when they feel comfortable, to be able to explore like their different kinks that they might be interested in and whatnot. But it has to be in a like safe, consensual environment. If you are into, and there are people that are into like consensual, non-consensual situation, it's usually talked about beforehand. Like,
If you like,
I'm okay with you being like rough with me or forcing me to do this, that, whatever. You know, that's
if you
totally
like a
fine.
jump scare in your sex life,
Yeah, that's
it's
totally.
okay.
I'm not here. What is it? What's the term? I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. But I don't think that this book should be recommended to men that are new to romance.
Yeah.
Especially, all it's going to take is someone recommending this to the wrong type of man who is not in the right mindset. And they're going to think that, oh, well, she's saying no, but her body's saying yes. So I'm going to keep going.
It's like that R. Kelly song.
Yeah, I know we're all intelligent people here, you know, but there are people that are not. They're gonna read that and they're gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, so when she does say no, she actually wants me. That's not okay. Consent is very important.
Like circling back, they tell because like there are guys on TikTok who are obviously there for like thirst trapping. Like that's what they do. That's their TikTok. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then like they have women like, oh, you remind me of so and so, and they'll list Haunting Adeline, and I'm like, that's not a compliment. Or what's another one that's I don't know. I'm not a dark romance person, so I don't know. But like,
I'm not on TikTok enough to know.
But yeah, they'll recommend these dark romance guys, and they're like, "Oh, you're just like him," and I'm like, "I hope not. That kind of ruins the fantasy."
I mean, I do plan on reading more dark romance this year, just so I can get like a broader thing. Like I said, I did overall like Haunting Adeline just as a whole. It's an interesting story. I will not be continuing with book 2 anytime soon. I've had multiple friends that have read it warn me that it is crazy dark. They have said it's some of the darkest content they have ever read in a book. I don't mind reading it at some point, but it is not something I want to read right now.
I don't think that's something I could read.
Yeah, that seems. I feel like it's going to be a little too much for me.
Yeah.
At the moment, which I never thought I'd find the day where I said something was too much for me, because usually I can read just about anything. Specifically, I think my exact words to my friend Hema were, "That doesn't sound like a happy book, and I need happy books right now."
Like, again,
it sounds incredibly sad.
I read these books to escape.
Yeah.
And to imagine a better world. And have my happy endings. And
yes.
If I can't do that, I'm not interested. Also, like, that could be heavily triggering for some people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, I am blessed that I have not had to endure that kind of life, but even then, like, no way I could read that.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna have to put in the description for this episode, list the like trigger warnings that I discussed from Haunting Adeline.
Yeah.
Well, also the whole point of those types of like kink lifestyles and S&M and BDSM and all that is, first and foremost, they want it to be safe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that community really emphasizes consent and being safe. And if you violate any of that, you're out.
Yeah, you're fucking out.
And if that is violated at any point, you need to stop.
Yeah.
And then I know that there like books like this really harm perceptions of those communities. And it makes people think that it's okay, and that's what
these communities participate in, and it is not the case at all.
Yeah.
So
No, it's 100%. That's accurate.
when you write
100%
stuff
true.
like this, again, do your research and
Yep.
let's have some sensitivity.
Yes.
Consultants. Well, that was fun.
I was like, I feel weird because I feel like I just talked this whole episode.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
The people want a break
But-
from me. It's okay.
Shut up. I know I trying to get you to talk more, Elaine, because I listened back to the episodes and I was like, damn, Leon and I just like fucking bulldoze over you.
No, you're fine.
I feel like Leon and I have always been like the louder ones, and you're just like the quiet one that listens.
No, but Elaine
Yes.
Elaine can get rowdy though. She
yeah,
can.
oh yeah. But the people don't know that yet.
I've seen Elaine get riled up, but then see, she's the one that's reading all those monster loving books.
This is true.
She's a
I know what to get
freak.
you for Christmas, Elaine.
Huh?
I said I know what to get you for Christmas. I've
Me
seen
for
some very interestingly shaped toys. Sex toys for everyone.
Yay. Well, the way my dating life is going right now, I'll probably need it.
No. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's not great over here, so I'm fine.
All right. Shall we do a what this week?
Yeah.
Is there anything else y'all would like to add to this publishing TikTok internet hype situation discussion?
Maybe I should emphasize that I might be a monster lover, why choose favorite, but probably not in practice.
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's room to grow with that.
And you know, who knows? We might stumble upon an alien planet with Clicanians.
I know.
Anything is possible.
I
Okay.
feel like I keep ending a book and I'm just like, when will my time come? When an alien will come.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. What we need to do is we need to contact someone at NASA and be like, hey, can you send out like a message for us?
Yeah.
Be like, I need you to tell the aliens that there are willing women and probably men.
There are conditions.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, considering the offerings that we have here on Earth, I am open.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you were
Open,
married.
I'd be happy for y'all. All right. So our what this week. So this week I am a little all over the place with what I'm reading. I've started Scarlet Angel, which is number 3 in the Mindfuck series. And then I started Aragon on Spotify because it's included in my membership. I started that with my friend Brittany. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll start Invoking the Blood since I am now left out.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not really watching anything right now. Listening to, I don't know, I feel like I've been all over the place with that as well. But like I have a playlist on Spotify and I just put it on shuffle and it's been playing a lot of my what's it, Joey Valance and Bray.
Let's see. What am I reading? Oh, so I am reading this book called Airy by S.E. Wendell. She's the one who did Halfling. But this one, it's a different universe, I think. It's not like it's a trilogy or whatever. It's a different universe. This is like the slowest burn ever. Even like me, a lover of slow burn, is getting annoyed. I'm like, you know, it's like it's like those TikToks that are like, show me your wiener.
Do it already.
I know. I was like, God, guys, enough with the pleasantries. Just go. What am I listening to? I am listening to, I found a podcast. I think it's called These Are Their Stories. Yes, These Are Their Stories. And it's a Law and Order podcast. And it's
Okay.
it's these two people. They talk about an episode either from
OG Law and Order, SVU, or Criminal Intent, and they kind of just like tear the episode to shreds. It's so funny because Law and Order is just so dramatic for no reason.
It is true. Yeah.
And then what else am I doing? Oh, I should probably do my homework.
How is grad school going?
I don't know. I'm only 2 weeks in. So far, it's
Okay.
fine. But I keep like it's only 2 weeks in, and I've forgotten already that I have to do homework. So I'm gonna plan on doing that tomorrow. It's due at midnight tomorrow, so I've got time.
Okay. What is it?
We have to do a discussion, an online discussion about this book. It's like a short intro to leadership.
Mm.
And it's a book written by a man. So I'm not interested. And of course all the leaders that he refers to are men. I'm just like, we get it. Okay, men lead, blah blah blah, whatever. So I'm gonna have a lot to discuss about this.
Yeah.
FYI, I don't hate men. They bother me sometimes.
That's a good disclaimer to put. You're very particular, okay?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I like my dad.
Your dad is adorable.
I mean, my brother-in-law's okay, so.
Oh yeah, I do like Steve. I like Steve.
But that's it.
Elaine, you're what this week?
Wait, what this week? I'm still going down the Claclanian series. I'm excited. I really like it.
I need to
We were
continue.
texting. We were talking about it earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, I just finished using Feiho, so now I'll continue. I think the short novella is next
Okay.
afterwards, and then I continue the other ones.
Okay.
So reading those. I did watch Saltburn, and we talked about that too via text.
I didn't know if you wanted to like mention that or not.
Yes. But other than that, I haven't really watched anything, and that's it. I'm not really listening to anything.
Okay.
I've just been reading. I haven't been in the mood for anything else.
Yeah.
Reading about my Conclanian aliens.
Your alien romance.
One day.
Alien romance.
One day.
One day.
One day, y'all. One
day.
Okay. So the next book discussion we will have, in case anyone wants to read it before we do the episode discussion, which I don't have a release date for that episode just yet, but it will be Portrait of a Scotsman by Evie Dunmore, which is
Yay!
It's book 3 in the League of Extraordinary Women, but you don't need to read them in order. So that'll be the next book discussion. It will happen sometime later in February, but I don't have an exact date yet. All right. Thank you, listener, for joining us. Please rate and review our podcast and follow us on our socials listed in the description. Email us topics, questions, book recommendations. Say something nice. Have a lovely day and week. And until next time,
Bye.